Testing 1, 2, 3. What's up, man? That's all I could do. What's up, man? Hi there.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
You're just trying to look up what is it that you are in that strategy? So you do readings or?
No, I'm watching.
Oh, sure.
Today just happens to be a reading, like I do a reading 3 or 4 times a year. Yeah, otherwise it's our show is about 20 times a year.
Thank you very much.
All right. Chest. there. Hi there. It's a weekday one. I was like, should you want to go on a weekday? Oh, yeah. I was like, should you want to go on a weekday? He was like, yeah, I'm like, okay. It's better off looking at these. I think that's the idea. It's like, okay, we're going to do this. Which is kind of cool.
Right? Oh my God.
Yeah, we have to. Hey. Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
You know, what's the whole thing?
I know.
It wasn't, it didn't, we're very, yeah, very, I'm silly, but it works. That's what we like to do. Well, after, my friend was there, just freaked out about it, and made her own cards. I saw her live with like clip art. Yeah. Seems like it, right? Download it. That's, well, that's what I didn't really see that. I'll find out from her.
Oh, yeah. What?
I don't know. It's alright. It's alright. Unless I'm just suppressing it. I was kind of on, it was a first date on the fence. I just like threw it out there. And I was like, wow. I want to watch.
Yeah.
Right. So it was kind of, but then by the time that happened, I sucked it up. I was like, all right, so, yeah.
One section. Oh, okay. I'll see it. Yeah, they updated and then you started being like the mail person. Well, I started playing it first and then I started like, yeah, I was talking, but that, there's so many new doors, it's like new artists. Yeah. It's like, I can see her, it's like a white card, it's like. Yeah, well, it's like, it's so busy, like, you're certain cards, like 3 billion.
I mean, just imagine, I'm remembering what it was like to receive
It's not big, yeah.
And the last time we played, except me, so I remember it.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, underground.
I'm well.
Hopefully it broadcasts.
Yeah, I think it
It is? Okay. The color is horrible, but oh well.
viewers.
Oh yeah, it'll be very low right now. That is, we'll try.
How's it going?
How are you doing? Oh, crazy, I'm glad I didn't bring you. Hey,
Yeah, we didn't.
That's so cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, no,
you know, it's funny, it's the only.
That's what I was saying. Me too. Like,
Right, you wanna just let it go and just drop it.
move on, right? Yeah.
So is this some of the shit that couldn't be broken? Oh, this is some of the delicate stuff.
Most of it got put away. But if she didn't pick it up, it was just kind of a bump. This thing is.
Yeah.
You were really good at
It is, it's like, I mean,
So outside of the things that are clearly her style, this stuff is more of the story.
yeah. You know, but like these are hers, but again, she just didn't think about it. Like she was here photographing all the stuff. She's like, it's me. And I'm like, thumbs up.
Are you guys ready to play latest?
Let me tell you what I did. I guess it's hard to sit here. And the real Robert was like, I don't believe me because I guess that. It's like, well, he's Robert. Oh, did it?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think I've
I'm not a standard player. Not anymore. Now they know I'm another player.
I had to find another. What are these other characters? New characters?
What do they do? Deck cards. Oh, shit, you gotta go for like a week. Yeah,
but it's not just like that new name.
yeah. No, but I would say
No, I mean, like where it's built. And then after that becomes something else. Or
like more
yeah.
turn into werewolves.
Yeah.
Now I've heard of it. I heard somebody call it right. I already talked there. Now I've heard Alright, guys, this is Adrian. This is Shanasa. That's Daniel. He only sees me at Asian Club. There's like diversity. Yes. Cool. Now we have to take the fucking all I mean, Disney makes a great awesome. It's pretty well crafted. I've seen every fucking every time I think about Anne Hathaway, I'm like, if I just got me the ground floor of Disney, my career is it's her. She'll never do one for
Are we going to the next 8?
Because we're speaking. It's the worst. I didn't even know. I wish someone had told me. What are you speaking about?
Social media.
I'm gonna have Ray Lynn fucking videotape.
Yeah, no, it's just, they want me to do more of like social media.
Hey, Knox, you good in like 5 minutes or something? Good, whatever?
Your night is mine, bro.
Nice. Perfect. Well, is this mutual? Oh, except he's not. Okay, I'm gonna introduce Shanaka. Then these 8 people. Oh my god. Yo, guys, this is like my total fucking favorite. Because like I am so nervous about this experience, but I am so grateful to Eric and Giant Robot for allowing me to use this space for the next however many months I can push him for once a month to keep evolving and going through this process and journey with my work. But before I continue into that, I would like to bring up this month's special surprise guest, because every month is going to be like someone I drop on the day of is going to be amazing. None may be as amazing as this particular person, but you know, could be, we don't know. But this poet I've known for 1,000 years, and every time I see her, I am inspired, and she is one of like 8 people I will actually go pay money to go see wherever she's performing in the world. So please give it up for Shanaka Hodge.
I don't have the microphone,
No,
and you're streaming this into the interwebs.
we are? I don't know. Excellent.
That's what it sounds like. Hi, interwebs.
Tell the internet what the fuck's going on.
Internet,
Oh,
here's what the
nice.
fuck is going on. ICE is crazy.
Oh.
There's a lot to cover for the internet. That's
You
what's
better be
going on.
careful.
It's real. You know. So, hi guys. My name is Chanaka. Beau likes to share space with me. It's really nice of him. I'm working on a new text called Dated MCs because I've come of age and never known anything but hip hop, and along the way I dated every kind of MC there is today. So, like broke MCs who work at UPS and like pseudo famous MCs, and have also seen like all of my favorite idols like crest over and be like, these damn kids with their auto tune. And so I'm working on a series about that and sort of like fictionalized accounts of real rappers' lives and how they relate to mine. That's what everything's about. Again, this one is for my mother. It's called Lose Yourself. About Illinois more than it is about Michigan. About Kankakee corn more than 8 Mile. About lighting things on fire and watching them dance the dark out of themselves. About smoking hot whiteness in the center of my black mother's eyes. If she had been born later, paler, more west, my mother would be Marshall Mathers. She would pick meat from rappers' bones for sport like she does now, the way M has always done. Keep it 100. My mom has always liked country and western, fancy sad ballads about unremarkable towns, and she has painstakingly coffined secrets in maize fields behind her own mother's house. Once, she told me, she lost herself on the short drive between her room on South Southbrook Avenue and the ice cream parlor where she shoveled electric blue dessert for Klansmen. My mother was the biggest thing in Kankakee, Illinois, the brightest, most often choked light. My mother has always been a genius at the end of a rope, a disaster waiting to happen in the grocery. So when we first saw the movie and she watched her black, quiet, 40-something-year-old self lives inside the body of a young white boy pasted inside a black culture, being nothing but unabashedly himself. I won't lie to you and say my mom would cry. My mom's too hard to cry with some rapper. But if you were there, like me, you would have seen her darkest nights writing sheet quoting lyrics all through holiday dinner preparation, pacing the house, repeating her favorite bit, Mom's spaghetti. Mom's spaghetti. She boils the noodles. Steam plays in her silver hair, knife shakes in her hands. Her poems are sweaty, about Illinois as much as about crazy hospitals, about Kankakee as much as hating grandma, about time as much as losing it, about minds as much as losing them. I should figure out some shit for the day that
Free geography.
Both of me to read 2 to 3 poems, I read 4 short.
Yeah, do that, dude. Because I love you. Bring all this new shit. Bring it. Amazing. That's what the space is for.
Whatever, man.
Art, dude.
It's like the return of whatever.
Yes.
It's like what we had a show in New York called Whatever. Fucking epic.
And it was literally that.
And but when I got dressed in matching outfits, and hats, there was like dance choreography or sing-offs. I hope this space. Small poems for big. Haiku penned March 9th, 2011 for each year he lived. When you die, I'm told they only use given names. Christopher Wallace. No notorious, neither B.I.G. nor Smalls, just Valletta's son, Brooklyn resident, hustler for loose change, Lucy's and a little loose Tim. Let me tell you this, illest flow or no, the West Coast didn't get you. Had our loyalties, no need to discuss that now, that your weight is dust, that your tongue is air, and your mother is coping as only she can. I will also say that I have seen Bed-Stuy since BK misses you. Her walk has changed some. The rest of the world feels weak about itself. Middle school students not yet whispers in 9-7 know the lyrics well. Does it surprise you to know that you are Ike or Curse? Course of history, most often noted, quoted, reconstructed, sung, hung by a bullet, prepped to die, gunsmoke, one hell of a hunch, really just a boy, 2 years my junior, fallen. I've outlived legends, but none so like you, black, ugly, heartthrob, ever conflicted MC, respected lately, post-mortem posthumous king, pauper in first life till puff blow, blew you up, gave you a champagne diet plus cheese eggs. Welch's, you laid a blueprint, gave us word for word, but can't knock the hustle. We miss your supply. Lyrics sold on consignment, broken commandments, but most honestly, we mourn the true genius slain, the ease of your laugh, the cut of your jib, unique command of the room. Truthfully, Vicky, what about you, small? No, not legend, not stature, lifespan. Yo, who shot you, kid? NYPD stopped searching, shrugged off Negro death while we scour the sky. We more tough, recites harder, chant you live again of all the lyrics. The realest premonition rings true. You're dead. Wrong.
Two more. I'm dating in LA, which is the worst. It's the worst thing ever. And you know this if you also are dating in LA. Because it's a fucking awful list. And it's not even like a diss on LA. I think it's like partly being 30 and also being in LA and not being able to trust anything or anyone. From the goodness of my heart, I wrote this poem. I think something good. Yes, it is called Sunset.
1. I don't mind if we use the tip of your tongue to push thoughts back into my mouth. I don't even mind if you hush my whispers, let it be unspoken. The surprising calm of watching Los Angeles dawn over your rising and falling chest. The unmistakable longing your bed, your brow, your index fingers still have for her. Always the her. She is gone. I am here. A handful of sweet everything. I don't mind if we don't talk about it. If we rush into each other as well water does to thirsty deserts as teenagers do to supple bodies. As long as you were here and I am here and small runs rings around the skyline. Let that be our metaphor. The dirty, the unused, the unwanted, commonplace that make the usual sky 9 arresting shades of pink at dusk. 2. Look at that. Just like that. I have dreamed all day of you. I imagine you in the pale light of early morning, the hairy thick of lunch and coffee, cigarette breaks you break, so consistently break the husk off you. Look at you singing on a Sunday, praying in church, especially since you don't pray anymore. I don't worship you. It isn't my style, my faith, wider than that. But here, in the pale amber of a morning when we wake up, wrapped inside each other, for lots of reasons I hurry out of your bed into the day, only to say I'm never ready to leave you. And then we suck the brittle off each other's lips as a way of not actually uttering goodbye. And just like that, the day has passed, and I want you by night too.
One more, and then we hear Beau Sia poems. Yay! Is everybody very excited about Beau poems? I'm most excited because I am. Everyone in the room combined.
I love it.
Really excited. Can I have that?
Yeah, all
Alright.
except for this.
That's yours.
I got this bulletproof dress, and yes, I've been wearing it. My mama rocked it first, supposed it is inherited. All of my apparel is crafted this way. I got this sixth sense of premonition and hate. Bet you notice in my posture way I open with an ostrich party on my way out. Hope we get you spray out. Never see me splayed out. I duck fast and no master come gunning for me. He test eyes open watching the scene. But I'm only caught dead after living up free. Look the way that this dress has been weighing on me and iron fatigue, meaning our fatigue, priest of the scenes, beasting with dreams, I'm most of the things broken when I'm cooked off my demon. It's so hard to focus when I hold on my dreams and it's so elongated when I both want to sing. I mean, every black girl, everyone, even me. And it pimps poet pride, it's so on the cheap. Part of a process, part of a concert, fucks up the rhyme scheme, makes it a monster, harder to breathe, harder to speak, sorry to beat one out, but sometimes it's just consecutive lines, just repetitive sentences like the ones being served by the boys I grew up with who were serving men behind bars. They are walking this poem with their feet turned inward and the gate of my stalking grows short and unfinished ever since he made me such as the words don't come like they used to. I don't blame anybody but myself. Sitting at the back of class, and some guy sees that I have purple cussing out controlling something something, anything besides this dress mask waiting as my body. It seems so still. These days, no chest to fear, fear. These days I don't die. I am told I'm multiplied. The school said I can't have rights. I'm trying to act right. Struck by the black eye of my own depression. Undiagnosed, unmedicated, bipolar like low and elbows like low and North Pole like arms. Dancing. I never forgot the end of the poem before. Like arms and elbows, turf dancing around poor education and substandard air quality has made me expectant of death. They say the girls from West Oakland got no self-respect. Well, it's all I have left. I invest in a dress that protects all my best. And sometimes I miss love while dodging the drama. It's tension I need to this book.
Yo, we should totally freestyle later. We should totally freestyle later. For sure, I love seeing you, Steve. Oh, guys. So I love this in this space. So basically, what you guys have agreed to be a part of tonight, and hopefully you'll continue to keep coming every month, is the process of love Beau into fuck me. That's not really like a conceptual thing, it's just a titling thing. And I've also learned in the process of this day, it's probably just going to be love Beau into love Beau. And really, fuck me is just a limited juvenile way by which I consider how can I own the market, and that's not really the goal of this. And even though love Beau is far more abstract and difficult to connect yourself to and see yourself in, it's more authentic to the reality of what I'm trying to attempt, which is that I have begun going through all of my love poems for the last 20 years that I've ever written at once. And in that process, I've seen not only the arc, but what is the commonality between all of those love poems, all of the patterns of myself, all the victim places I kept returning to, believing that this was love, believing that this is how you understand it, and using my relationship with words to engage and participate in that, not as much my relationship with others. Right? And so through this process, I've begun putting them up on YouTube and forcing myself to recite them in the original voice that these poems were written. So if I wrote a poem at 15, to recite it as if I'm 15 again, to have that same angst in my throat, to feel that belief in a line, to force myself to not mock younger me for being a poor writer or quote-unquote poor writer, but to be authentic to embracing a child who had real feelings, who really had this pain, and even though we articulated these things in sort of illogical ways, the cadence and the word choice revealed that subject. This is going to be me taking all of that YouTube fucking web process shit I'm working on and trying to create new work that allows me to change the narrative, to evolve beyond that, right? So that's what you guys have come for. Next month, I'll tell you about that later, but this month, I did not get as far as I would like. But what I've learned is that I could write 20 love poems for you tonight. But if they all are actually reiterations of 2005, I have literally failed what I'm telling you I'm attempting. So today I spent all day trying to write 5 poems. And I've wrote about 30 or 40 first stanzas and deleted them all to only write 1 poem today. Because I did not understand the emotional weight of returning to love poetry at this time in my life, right? So tonight what you're going to experience are poems from my book that reflect conceptual ideas of love, love poems from the YouTube series Love Beau to give you a sense of what I'm talking about, this new poem as well as the conversation in between about all of this. Good with that, Daniel? Yeah. So, to begin with, let's start with the book. It's like we're selling everybody in the field. I could just do anything, but I'm not going to do it operatically or some shit like that. You know? I mean, you know, we could let him know. I hear you, right? So the first poem means a lot to me because at some point I had to stop blaming people, understand who I am, and stop living behind my armor. And this poem for me reflects a step in self-love, which is one of the most instrumental pillars of this understanding I'm trying to achieve. So this poem about self-love is called The Undisputed Greatest Writer of All Time. Cool. Yeah. Right lit. Something felt unprofessional. Where's the Tom Morello in here? I'm the undisputed greatest writer of all time! Is what I shouted. In the confines of journals and poems never published. When rejection was constant, I amassed a fortress of verse. During lonely weekends, I fed ego to keep me company. Before I understood death, I emerged victorious in my comparisons to authors whose books I refused to open. To be the greatest was going to get me out of the hell my mind made Oklahoma. Being undisputed was going to shut up all the adults who acted like my timeline was already written. Invoking all time was going to ensure legacy with the snap of the fingers. I worshiped a narrow greatness, an insecure boy's way to protect the once ridiculed child. How ridiculous I've been, blinded by undisputed shining with no sense of its impossible. Walking 20 years back, I fondly shake my head at the boy who made time linear in order to give himself history. From this seat I've chosen, high school returns full focus, revealing truths someone wrapped up in declarations can't see. The language used against my father and my mother's love of American movies. The English always assumed foreign to me, and the journal that never called me too sensitive. The characters I could never be in movies, and all the longing for a hero's arc. I'm the undisputed greatest writer of all time! Sounds like a kid who never got invited to parties. Reads like a child fighting against an imposed identity. Feels like a flag too scared to face the source of a want. I filled fountains with found pennies, wishing words would make everyone fall in love with me. Never used an eyelash to fall in love with my own squishy nose. I fantasized. Verses giving me everything that Long Duck Dong would never have. In tormented vengeance, I made hollow vows that the work would expose the racist and the cruel for all that they had done to me. I'm the undisputed greatest writer of all time! Is an easy way to deny responsibility. That hate, born of misinterpreted experience, has slowly waned with the years. I've become nostalgic for so much I've made enemy in order to excuse myself from confronting what costumes hide. Now, when I look at the words, the undisputed greatest writer of all time, they lack the resonance which guide my today. The sequence looks like a cunning lie. Each word a lesson self-taught the hard way. For the undisputed greatest writer of all time grows lonelier with each page in his windowless room. He forgets how little of life is worded sifting through the language. He develops back problems and hand issues in service to a title. For the undisputed greatest writer of all time is a shadow, addressing all he'll never touch. The undisputed greatest writer of all time hugs terribly and loves limply. The undisputed greatest writer of all time can never be. Well, darling, that will never be me. Are you guys ready for the love poems in the universe? All right. No, I'm a rat. You know me. You know I'm a baritone. That's the thing about love. You can't express all of who you are, but why the fuck you on the stage talking about it in your damn words? Shit. I promised swooning, so here's a little love poem I wrote in 2009. This is one of the love book kind of don't laugh at yourself having written this book. That's like the message to myself every time I recite these old love poems. Don't judge, don't judge, don't judge. It doesn't have a title because I didn't want to reveal the person's name. I don't believe in angels. Your face challenges my dismissal of halos. You are not an easy metaphor. Your enchantment lives beyond the craft. If I rolled up my sleeves, I could observe as much of you as scientists can see of the universe. What are words of love to do in your presence? Magic. Too little for the ocean of your giving heart. Grace, just the shadow of your light when hands choose to hold. Beauty, not enough in the letters to even capture your breath. If definition is fraught with such stumbling, such excuse, such failure to convey how I'm derailed into fantasy the moment your lips exhale any word, then you must be incapable of being bound by language. Two poets in the sea. I grasp without the rope of verse to lead me to you. Coursing through my veins, memory of you tackles my heart to the ground every time. Stunned by a stunner, as good a word as any. For no line capable of housing you, and no word reads how my heart truly aches when you leave for the train. Yeah, I forget, like, you know, when you got feelings, how that catches up to you, and then in your transitions between poems, you gotta like, oh shit, I'm in the moment, boom, now I'm a pro! You know what I mean? Like, that's just crazy. But now that we're here with only people I know, we can just be all free for all because we're trying to strip from that. You know what I'm saying? I could like really, you know, I could just everything clean and concise. But then there was the love. How can the love? I know that was an example, right? Oh, the examples have a love. Oh, this is another love poem. This one, this makes me sad. Let's be sad for a second. Right? I wrote this in 2004. Oh, that's the other thing. As I tell you the dates, recognize how time is much more fluid than we've ever thought when we put it all together at once. It's 2004. Ah, shit, you're in the audience.
Sure am. But I've been your friend a long time.
Anyway, take this in, because you know who I'm talking about. Don't think about her around me. Okay. I can't hear right now because I'm trying to go back in time. Memory sucks. Cocoa Ritter Sport. Cedar Rose. The sunset in South Dakota. The movies Goodwill Hunting and Love Actually. The works of Haruki Murakami. The Ferris wheel at Toys R Us. These are things I'd like to forget. The candle store on Mott, Cafe Havana, and Frank's on 2nd Avenue. These are places I don't like going to anymore. I don't want to walk west of 7th Avenue in the Village, down 10th between Broadway and University, or through Bryant Square Park. Call me melodramatic, but I will never return to Edinburgh, Venice, or the Pacific Coast Highway. I'm going to Miami in October only because I have to. I wish I could erase Cambridge, Massachusetts, Central Park in August, and all of the boba tea places on Earth. If I had more pride, I'd burn every photo with a memory in it. If I had less pride, I'd show up with a boombox and play that song I don't want to think about right now until the cops came. I don't want Thanksgiving or Christmas or November 14th to come. I can't wear certain shirts. I can't be alone for too long. I can't stop thinking no matter how much weed I smoke, because night will come and 5 a.m. will arrive and we won't be saying good night to each other again. I wish I could resolve the past with random, selfish fucking. I wish the answers were in a relationship book. I wish reading that book would be all I needed. I wish I could disinvent crying. Every day I wake up. Every day I go to sleep. I'm not sure where this will take me. If phoenixes are just a cruel joke. If there's room for discarded and or pining dudes in the gene pool. If immersing myself in projects can prevent collapse. God! You fuckface! Your challenges are more than I can handle. I got into here with growth. I take that back. Just please, dude, help me stop hurting. Help me move on. To let her go where she needs to. To remember random, joyous temple kisses, but not spend the rest of my life waiting for her lips to return. This shit. Pew, pew, pew. Ah! Oh my God! No, I cannot believe that I have grown so much internally that I still feel feelings from that shit. I almost cried, dude. I almost cried, dude. I almost cried. And you know what? I'm glad y'all heard those poems kind of like back to back, because now you know the difference between having lived something and fantasizing something. Because you know that shit in your voice? The tonal range of truly going through things in your life just enhances the value of your work by having just a fuller truth. I mean, you can hear the illusion in the 2009 poem, even though it's a later poem, because that boy, man, whatever, is still trying to wrestle with an ideal and draw it in with this crafty ideas and shit. This one, much more broken down, much more conversational, and yet a stronger poetic quality because the sequencing allows the art of the emotions to be true, right? Fuck. I hate that shit. I love it. Sorry, God. Don't do that to me. No signs. Don't be giving me signs because I'm talking shit. Seriously, God. I heard Cornel West was a revolutionary Christian yesterday. I didn't know that. It should be a 2-minute thing. So this poem, I've done sing about love, but I need to get out of that headspace a little bit. But also, I do believe that you can't just be a human being on Earth in 2014 and not address all of the layers of love somehow. You know, not just your personal shit, but also the world. And this is about violence, because we're fucking ourselves up right now on this earth. It's called unload. Bang. Is the sound of neglect matured into rage. Bang. Deafens the ears of those unwilling to listen. Bang. Begs to ring the alarm that can't be snoozed. Bang. It begins before the aftermath of smoke. Bang. A boy who's only seen touch, but never felt it. Bang. The daughter who's been hugged too long by abuse. Bang. Babies burning in silence until innocence drowns in the ash. Then bang! Just like the movies. Busy parents working too hard to explain special effects. Bang, you get it already. Because bang, there's been another shooting. And bang, the parent wants a metaphor. Bang, to get your attention. Because bang, there's no restart on this video game. The ones we call freaks ease our accountability. All media gets placed in a vacuum of blame. Our animal grows strong when fed on what distracts our humanity. Bang! This is not about gun politics. War is a convenient way to ignore the work. It takes a village to raise a monster. Bang! 1 billion uncharted moments before the darkness filled with stars. 1 billion unreported experiences before the child throws the fit that becomes the clip we stay fixed on, like children gazing at fireworks. Explosions made both message and meaning. Bang! Listen for more than the loudest sound in the room. Bang! Weapons will evolve while we deny their origin. Weapons will melt once we've reverse engineered our hate. Weapons will become archaic with choices more fitting to our unique design. Bang! Make time for others' hurt before it turns poison. Bang! Remember the child within before you react from the child within. Bang! Let your pain be a guide and not a source. Bang! Teach your children how fruitless the zero-sum game. Bang! Teach your sons their want demands context. Bang! Teach your daughters their will is not a prison. Bang! Compassion is greater than all that may destroy us. In every breath, an opportunity towards demise or thrive. It's not in the words. It lives in what's between. It's amazing because you seem to do this. You guys seem to do it like a big stage. So like to hear myself have to pull back and keep the emotion because of the literal reality of the space is an amazing challenge.
You're so buff, Bo.
That's what I was thinking.
Wanna
I
get them up?
was thinking that
That's
was,
insane.
yeah, the last time we
Let me tell you, dude.
It's distracting, actually.
Let me put this right now, dude. This and this is necessary. I need it, man. I need to have this.
I want you to have it.
Thank you. And then also, the sleevelessness is not the, maximize the vibe of the look. It's to reduce the heat levels of my sweatiness in this particular room. Or is it? It's about love, man. Love comes in many forms, many shapes. Right on. All right, this is going to be a great attempt. When I originally did this for YouTube, I did it like 7 times before I could do it straight on. And now I'm going to do it live. Because when I was 15 and wrote this poem, did you ever hear about those dudes that like get their baby pictures, but they're like 15 years old or 13 years old, and they decide to go back and get their baby pictures done and wear like a bonnet and go to like Kmart and be on a thing? You know about that, right? Like literally dressed like a baby, but I'm 14 and then I'm at Kmart. And for some reason, the most amazing part of the story, healing for them, heals them, right? So I played with the idea and I was like, how can I go back in time and provide myself experiences that I was denied to release whatever pain I'm not aware of that I'm just carrying through life? Pain of how I've been neglected, denied, not listened to, invisible. So one of those things is reciting all the poems from a teenager in front of audiences. Now that people just come and listen to what the fuck I say, right? Which is crazy because I tried so hard to get somebody from my school to go to the open mic to see me, and that never happened. But now it's just literally, it's crazy. So here we go. This poem, don't mock it. Don't mock yourself. And don't judge. Don't judge! 1992. The poem is called Field Sublime. A wisp of bliss and a fatal kiss wrapped around the tainted fields of pain, and twisting beams of midnight dreams, thinking of you again and again. Never knew anything of you in a mortal, beautiful, joyous way. Just the morbid feel of my lonely nights and the dark gold glitter of my soul astray. Wanted to tell you a million things in a flight of fancy, in a billowy ring, and reach the sun with you in my arms and held so tight that I never want to let you go. Yet a pass of glance, searching star and sky, ticking clocks so bold. No more time and I fall away, so far, so alone. A glimpse of you and I'm at home. A twirling motion, soft subtle devotion, the eager yearning to feel your velvety lips. In the glow of the moon, at midnight in my room, and I rip the heart from out myself. 1,000 words as I know, the gentle knowledge of all about you. I really don't think I can live without you. So I drift to sleep, softly weep, and dream about you one last time. I just wanted to sit in that for a second because that literally fucked me up. Holy shit, I just literally had an emotional fucking heart attack. Oh my God.
But I should also say 15-year-old Beau has like a really strong sense of form.
Yeah, stop!
No, seriously.
I wish you were my mentor. I wish. This is why time can do this. Time is fluid. Thank you, Shanaka. I will take your workshop.
Yeah, I took your workshop when you were 15. So
I'll take your workshop in 38.
oh.
That will be my thing. Wow. Cool. It's man, I'm just gonna do the 2 memorize ones and go back to this love thing because this switching back and forth emotionally is getting very hard on me right now. And I've learned that in the process of each of these shows each month, to be really present about that, to allow the emotional part to be true, and not to try to fill in so much to cover perceived lack. But I still wanted to do these poems today because they do reflect conceptual love outside of the self in relation to the other. This first one is, you know this one, AJ. It is written by my mother as a writing device. And it begins with this note that I always have to recite before I perform it, so that, you know, you hear from her words before you hear her words. You know? Rock on. I'm assuming you are here to listen to poems, and if that is the case, feel free to find wherever you'd like to sit. For the poems listening, there's many chairs, you know, spaces, everything, you know. We're about to get into a really crazy poem about, I don't know one now. So here we go. This is written by my mother's writing advice. This is the note beforehand. Dear audience, my son agreed to perform this so that I, an immigrant, could have a voice. He does not understand this. He has never had to leave all that he knew and loved in order to survive. He is a tourist. He will not drink tapped water. This is not for him. This is for the Philippines. Even though I have not seen much of the world, I believe that what I have to share is relevant to many people. Thank you for listening. Forgive the translation. Yours, Elizabeth Sia. And now the poem. Welcome to the third world, assholes! Too late to run now. You gave us visas to do what you thought was beneath you, importing us to build your cities, nanny your children, and nurse your fragile antibiotic lives. Your IKEA prices fucked our daily wage, and we are tired of sleeping where your waste is sent. So we coming over, and you can't do shit. Your children are too spoiled to stop the immigration problem. Our May I Take Your Order sends dollars, pounds, euros, and yen back home. Gives our children education with computers, our uncles houses with doors, and our communities relief that beer cannot provide. The first world taught the third world how to use other countries in order to benefit the motherland. So now we gotta colonize you, from Brixton to the Bay, Sydney to Houston, Tokyo to Paris. We learn fast and we breathe faster. The generation cleaning your toilets will beget the generation doing your taxes, will beget your son-in-law. We've had to adapt without a balanced diet. And we are not forgetting the debts that brought us here. So thank you for teaching us capitalism. Now let us teach you something that your salary could not. You live in a world. You've chosen to win at the expense of another's loss. You've consciously allowed, which is just plain whack, and your most favored nation status has only gained you boredom, terrorism, and high-speed internet access. We're going to serve the first world until you realize that we're not just here to serve you. We're going to colonize the first world until you can't ignore us just by going click, until our children stop being born as the enemy, until the first world stops seeing the third world as a different place. For those that don't know, who's like, am I in this circle here and shit? When I say written by my mother's a writing device, it actually means that I wrote it. And the reason why I claim that she wrote it is because it's kind of unfair for me to be like, oh, this is my experience. Because really, I am fucking spoiled as shit, born in the US, don't drink tap water, a million fucking other things that are so baby lame that when I go overseas, I'm like, oh my God, I'm helpless. And so, upon visiting the Philippines, I really wanted to share my understanding of because they have such a unique local position that one of their greatest, if not greatest export is people. And it's a very unique thing in the world that each country has things like that, but for the Philippines, it's just people, 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 and what that means in the migration. And so I wanted to share that, but I couldn't do it in my voice because it's not my experience. That's why I say it's written by my mother. In a weird way it is though, because both of my parents talk like that, they just don't sequence words in that way. You know. It's very wild, right? When you, as a poet, evolve to that point where you can translate language even though it's in English. Right? You can translate the understanding and the origins of your own ideas by better seeing what your parents are actually talking about when they talk about their favorite TV shows or what they saw in the nightly news and shit like that. Anyway, this is the last memorized poem, and then, oh, you missed it, y'all. Oh, let me break it down. In case I told y'all. Once a month, I am going to be sharing my journey of love, a journey that I'm beginning now by first going over 20 years of poems all at the same time, and then figuring out what is the art in there, what are the similarities, what is the pattern that I can evolve out of. Once I have an understanding of that, I'm going to come here until Eric kicks me out once a month to share new poems in hopes of reflecting this new narrative and this shift in who I am. We're going to do one last memorized poem, then we're going to go into some of the poems that are about this sort of subject and journey. You feel? Cool, right? All right, so this last poem, I just love it. I love this one decade. It's called Boys Will Be Boys. Everywhere I go, there are men still hung up on their cots. Still driving like dominance is secure. Still working like proving you're better is the only way forward. Still fighting like winning erases loss. What King Joffrey from long ago taught so many little lords that castles were for spoils? What ancient prince who knew women as only property led tribes into society? What civilization began the trend that the emperor's gender is the gender of all leaders? What early man, bursting with jewels, handed down the doctrine that hierarchy's peak is to rule over all? What history has been erased in order to preserve the history of bellies full on grief? In another age, saber-toothed tiger encounters were always lethal. Leading a hunt was a question of survival. The enemy killed, afraid of death returning in the night when darkness was full of dangerous mystery. There was a time when the spear was solution for what we yet learned to communicate. A gun was more useful before our words taught the higher value of a man alive. The fear, which demands control, carried more weight when dogs were more wolf when scarcity was man-made, when the sky was the realm of an angry God shaped like a man. So tell me, why are skyscrapers still so defiant of science? Why is governance rooted in territory and threat? Why do boys still call other boys gay until their eyes no longer reflect the moon? There's a security blanket, no longer needed. Progress proving the poor choice of hoarding toys, of breaking toys as a way to get mommy to listen, of making that which breathes into toys for show and tell, of coveting toys only to lock them in chests, of using toys to tune out what the adults are fighting over. It's been millennia plus since the little boy was taught his equal. A little girl is more than a politician's humanizing story. Your little girl fights for her dream and the right to have it. The little girl only benefits the past if she stays that way. Deep down, little girls are just like little boys. Little boys were given thrones long after their expiration date. Little boys built the world in their image. Little boys too often learn a language that covers up the root of their role. Women give birth to them. Family is stronger in the feminine for the sake of all. Humans are symbolic. Relativity is calling us to put down our spears. A bowl longs to feed all from its giving shape. A nourishment that raises warriors who never fight to the death. Now is the time to change the operating system. It is within the feminine that you'll find the code. Let's see. I think I'm going to take that and look It's all good. And I am freaking out when I'm about to go into this book. Is this Shinaka?
That's supposed to be done before. Yeah, I do.
I was like, oh, I got this 10 years ago. Perfect timing to start using it now. All right. Yeah. I know some men from you. I know you will know. And somebody outside. Why can't be? I got any better. I love you. How much? Oh, let me know this one. I'm gonna just go hella sad. I'm gonna do 3, and then we're out. We're gonna be crazy sad for like 12 to 15 minutes right now. Don't get it, go back. Let me know we should swoon first and then go back. This is 2002. As we were speaking earlier, one of my things of trying not to judge myself is not only when I hear a line and I know that I'm supposed to pronounce it again and again, or pay attention to it, every time I come out of my mouth, I'm like, be true to it, be true to it. And then the other line, soft, cool, glitter, I was like,
I really like that.
I know, yeah, cadence-wise, great, logic-wise, right, but that's exactly it.
Glitter on my heart, though.
Right, exactly. But as a 15-year-old, you're going for the sound, you're going for the feel. And that's a very interesting thing, that a child has a deeper connection to their right hemisphere than an adult who takes that sort of craft shit and then closes off their heart. It's crazy. So part of the non-judgment is when I, when I write love poems, I'm like, ooh, because, the first line of this is, your breasts often come to mind when I think of you. It's just like, oh God, here we go again. I was also this guy. You know what I mean? It's like, you do your best to fucking evolve in this world, but you realize as a human being, you are a part of this great landscape by which on any given day, at any given moment, your reflection of what love is can be any fucking thing. 2002, this is called Bianca Ocean. I'm gonna say it. No judgment. I believe in this. Your breasts often come to mind when I think of you, where the fullness of you creates myth in my hand. You giggle like every fantasy of every man on the planet. I am hungry when we hang out. I could fill you up with pastries and gorge myself on your beautiful transformation. Let me rest my temple against your thigh and wander. I want to meditate on the image of your sex. I want to be simple in your bed. I want to be in your bed like I want you to own me. Tell me what to write. A phone call will put me anywhere in the world you ask. I'm getting to promise you do that to me. I'll agree silently with whatever you have to say. I love how close your hand comes to touching mine sometimes. It feels dangerous. I wish I was in a fucking cone of silence right now. Fuck, dude.
We have so many things to do.
Let's fucking go in, yo. Let's go in. Let's do this next one. Let's be crazy tonight. Fuck it. I wasn't into this next one. Who gives a shit anymore? I'm gonna feel feelings. I might as well feel the whole gambit. What up, y'all? Come on in. We're just having the feelings time. If you don't want to listen to poems, that's cool. If you just want to like check out amazing art, that's also good. But come sit and have poems time. Shit. So I see some young artists in the audience, you know what I'm saying? And one time I was, a young guy on the scene. And I used to get to go to places, man, like festivals and conferences and shit. Totally awesome. Totally great. And this is more like a little warning to all the young guys who go to festivals and conferences, as well as a little thing to understand and not delude yourself too much. This is written after I got back from the Edinburgh Festival in Scotland. So it was written probably 2003, 2004, but I have no sense of time. And this is called Fringe Women. I am going to keep doing this, no matter what, because I'm one boy. And that's why I asked Eric to do this, because 500 people couldn't tolerate this shit. But people that I love and admire and are willing to embrace the fullness of my voice and allow me to change, it's amazing. Thank you, Eric. Fringe Women. Festivals filled with women ready to volunteer. Their beauty site-specific. Lost in a vacuum of events, a mind can let its dick be his heart. Can take regular Kates and Emilys and Joes and give their names the weight of true love. Lying to myself is easy, especially when the money doesn't seem real to me. Romancing to bone, much easier if I pretend I'm Scottish. How boring cobblestone walks if I consider the loneliness of these manufactured trysts. A month abroad simplifies bed sheets and bedtime. No one wants to be themselves. That's why we all have posters. Everyone wants to be an image, a force to be reckoned with, the most desirable Maltese falcon you ever did see. No one wants to break this come-hungry snow globe. Most will try to take it home, only as memory. All the blood left in the city, memory held during the dullness of anniversary expectation and taxes, shaken awake to remind of a time one just went with the gut. Times when one didn't let guilt get in the way of the fun our lives can bring us. I cannot believe I'm allowing myself to be perceived this way. All right, guys. Thank you so much. For anyone who's never seen me before, maybe try to go check out my shit on the internet. I mean, I know I heard so much about him, but then he was just reading paper, and his voice was just like talking. Y'all told me this motherfucker was crazy and hilarious. I know, bro. I know, bro. Two more and then we're out. Man. Maybe, oh shit, notes. Notes on shit. Oh man. This one's great. Yeah, this one's awesome. Because it's not about me. Woo! So I wanted to share this one because sometimes I'm asked to write poems for people's weddings. So I know. By sometimes I mean I used to, because that shit is exhausting in a beautiful way. But I wanted to reflect on this poem only because how interesting it must be to have such a fascination and a passion, be consumed by the idea of love, and then in a moment you are asked to create for the love of others. And what does that do to your voice and your writing? And I think that for all of us this evening, who have listened to all of my beautiful love poetry, I think you'll notice the difference in the writing and the voice, which is so shocking to me that they brought out in me a writing that I did not know existed because I had to translate their love into words. And so much of this poem does not show up in my work, and yet I can feel my work's hunger to get here. Right? It's called M&D Always. In the ritual of holding hands, this love will grow. In the easiest favorite meal to make, this love will grow. In the soft breathing of children, this love will grow. In the mirror of a shared history, this love will grow. In the quiet after a week that tests compassion, this love will grow. In the conversations that will lead to difficult choices, this love will grow. In the face of judgment, joy, and jams of all kinds, this love will grow. As it has from the first movie alone to all the times of all the things only they will share a history of. This love has grown in ways no one could have predicted was predicting this moment. In ways that show how it will continue to grow, though it will never know how to get there. This love will continue to build with the pieces others have taken for granted. This love will allow itself a lifetime to understand itself. This love will show that what at first seems random had been leading them to each other long before their eyes filled each other with light. Thank you, guys. So, for anyone, have you ever seen me perform before? Anyone who has never seen me perform before, right? The poem ends, and I fucking close out brilliantly. Everyone gets crazy, and then I go into like a hilarious thing, and everyone's with me, and then I'm doing like stage shit. You're like, how does he walk backwards like that? And then I go into the next poem. This night, I am getting emotionally fucked up by returning to poems I wrote a decade ago for the first time. This night, I'm allowing myself to understand myself not as a performer, but as someone who wrote love poetry for the experience of connecting to love, to finding the words to articulate what I was feeling at the time. And I'm allowing myself to go there. That's why at the end, Frozen, okay? So you know.
I can't walk backwards on stage.
Oh my, I could walk backwards. Yo, I do a lot of shit, girl. I could walk backwards upstairs, backwards downstairs. I could mind walk downstairs. No. Shit. That's the thing, man. I'm unapologetic because if y'all see me next week in Glitch City, you'll see me tear that motherfucker down! Seriously. But right now, I'm sad. Not sad, you know, love, man. What's up with this big structure from my mom? Okay. This is like some shit I would see at the Whitney Museum and be expected to love. Okay. I get it. He's from like a war-torn country. All right. So, this is the one poem I was able to write today. For those who weren't here earlier, I literally tried to write 20 poems today. Every line I fucking deleted. This is one poem I wrote today. And as Shanaka said, yeah, dating in Los Angeles is fucking bullshit, dog. So, let me tell you what I did for 24 hours. Okay, Cupid. And then I fucking said, fuck you, because I do not need spies finding out my answers to questions. Figuring out all my goddamn preferences, more for psychology than connecting me with others. Plus, you know, Asian. That's an automatic swipe left. That's what I was like, oh, Asian dude. Woo! So, whatever. I'm looking for someone who's funny, who owns himself, but if you can't follow, wants to do go darkness and that, Asian. Shit. But yeah, you know, I'm pretty proud of myself to allow how I feel most days emotionally fucked up, but also feel simultaneously blessed and excited that I have a life that I can do something about that. And that all of the pain and hurt I've been feeling for like 6 months has actually given me so many internal gifts of understanding and compassion and allow me to see myself for who I really am. I mean, some of this pain has been so amazing because it's forced me to address triggers that I didn't know needed to be addressed, levels of insecurity I didn't know were there, levels of self-hate that I thought, oh, I'm totally above that because I'm so totally cool, you know, shit like that, right? All the things we tell ourselves in our rational mind that we've gotten over because we're a certain age, or a certain status, or people love us a certain way. But at the end of the day, how you see yourself when you wake up and go to sleep in the mirror, all was just thrown in my face in this process. And it's just been really amazing to feel this pain and not run from it, but use it as a launching point for my growth. So this is the one poem I could get myself to write today about love without being a false, without being a fraud, without being like, you know what I'll do? I'll blow your mind with 10 poems that you've never heard before. but all of it will just be to build their fucking mind and will not reflect my real identity or reality right now. This is the only one that will be just real for me. It's called sins. Sins. I walk by the mirror topless, wondering who will experience this body I've built in your absence. I pluck nipple hairs before the weekend, thinking I'll share my bed again. The bed I still sleep on the right side of. The metaphor of hope held too tightly. I've let go of you, and it comes out in unexpected tears, while making a meal for one once two. The moment my chin tucks during a stretch. Every time I decide to play Nina Simone. The crying hasn't stopped since that day on the old patio in March. And I've grown out of the shame of it all. I've come to embrace the truth every night at 2 a.m. The sobs and dramatic rocking and self-hugs are how much I love you. Not the amount of pain I feel now that you're not around. In the quiet of dry eyes, I embrace this. When friends want me to fuck my way to freedom. Self-love is not an escape into another. So I draw pictures instead of go on dates. I look through photos of exes, piecing together the history that led to you and I no more. I don't want to admit we're over. I don't want to accept that the universe might not make us meant to be. But I've got to let go. Because loving you is not guilting you back into my want. So I spend my days surrounded by all the failed plans of a boy who expected too much from the woman he loves. This apartment, too big for one part. All the things inside it that I thought we'd share. These pants I believe we'd keep making forever. None of it listening enough to your need as a human being. I listen more now to how unfair my well-crafted language then. The empty rooms of this place provide all that I couldn't hear in our arguments before. There is no one here to apologize to. Just myself in the dimly lit living room, typing on the internet because we don't talk. You'd be proud of me for being sad, but not wallowing in it. I've even stopped all the waiting others shouldn't be burdened by. I go out dancing alone on the weekends and come home soaked in release. Found all the love poems from before us and have begun reverse engineering my relationship with them. Take walks when no one's looking and remember how much I denied us in the name of us. I wake up every morning without blaming. Ah! Thank you. Oh my God. No, 3 things. Fucking thank you so much. I rarely get the opportunity to be whatever and ever, and also the opportunity to share things that aren't even fully formed. and to be able to talk and engage people about process. So thank you so much for listening to that and receiving it and allowing it to be not necessarily your expectation, but still received. Number 2, the next show is going to be November 5th. Every poem will be new by then, because I know it will be. And it will all be, and I'm not on wood, man, another step in this growth of my understanding of love. And then number 3, before you leave tonight, Eric has been so fucking awesome to let us have this space for freezies. So any way that you can support Eric would be awesome for me, because I feel like he's allowing me to do whatever the fuck I want at the place that he has to like pay month and shit. So if there's anything you like there, you want it, those books he got for me. So if you want to, if you already have a book, want to get it for a friend or some shit, there's that. He's got all kinds of cool shit under the glass that looks dope if you want to impress somebody. And these books actually look great on your coffee table, like you actually know some shit about culture and art. So any of these things to support Eric would be awesome for me as well. And I hope you bring your friends to November 5th, because I think, Shanaka, I think I get it. Next month, I'm going to have to go to even another level, for sure. So bring it, because I will. Done, thank you. I really hate love that. I really hate love that. Nice, man. Of course, I still feel weird, but not in the negative way. Just in this strange. I just love that all the time. Hopefully, console out. I just hope it's not so bad. You know what I mean? No, I love the that you said like this is smart. Like what? I was like Starbucks. No, it is. Y'all from the suburbs. I'm really out there. No, I just didn't use myself. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm back on weird. Thank you. Oh, I live right there too. That one was light sound. You know, that was second. Thank you for that every day. You know, well, it's high. Because you guys are something with us around the very beginning of the seed that doesn't even know what it is. I would love for you to see it start to sprout out maybe something. Thanks. This process is how I get. I still love the place. Are you coming to this game? coming out. And now it's slow.
Nice, bro, hell yeah.
I mean, someone wants to hurt that. I might do that because I might do that just because I might do that just because yo, dude, do that shit. Do that shit. Like, I would really change that kid. So, I would like to make you work on this. Because I'm not done. Right? Are you in town?
Saturday?
Are you feeling? I have a video here, just downtown. That's right. So, see how far that is. Oh, Jesus. Okay. So let's get up.
If I get a job,
Oh, wait, that's a long
it's like other than
I mean, I can't tell you how you like you're gonna get this. I mean, you're gonna always inspire me. That's part of the game. It's like context. I all that shit in 2 days. Yes. I agree. I think it's the way to go, right? For this space once a month.
You should tell me.
I heard like good work.
I think it might be good. Agents like just pays awesome. You guys should go take it. Yeah, feels nice and like it's just like really receptive to some of them that feel like no, I love it. Yeah, what all of us, all channels. Let's do that. Let's get some of these. I want to complete one of our group. Shit, fucking awesome, good. We need to have that conversation.
No, we gotta.
Right on. So really quickly, the group, what do you want to do? It's, I know it's already on fucking Neon. Already on the Neon. Yeah, I think we should
I filmed a video live, so.
God, you should do this. This is what I think we should do. 10 minutes, right? I think that we should go short rap, ballad, closing, right? And we act like this is an exercise forward. So we don't explain what the fuck is doing. So what we have in the beginning, we have some guy say,
This is from the musical.
exactly. So we don't have to explain the fucking story. Like, we don't have to have all some songs, right? And then we create the characters off of that, right? You know, it's not two guys playing these guys playing whatever. Right? Then you have to talk. So who's gonna write who's gonna direct? The song. He raps too. He writes. Yes, books. Right? Right. Okay, so we're on 4 days. We should that in our group as well. You know what I mean? So I want to be something that you put on YouTube. Right, so she has Ariana. Whatever, if she wants to direct her, she has, so this is for you to see on the page, right? So she has Ariana, and she has Leon, how they want. I think for me, responsibility-wise, it's really fucking simple. I could probably handle the book.
And then I'm not solving those situations that it's like,
And I think that's the
that's
thing.
like everything's like on point, right? It's not every piece that line, I feel like.
Yeah,
And I don't know if they're like, say, it's not, I can tell like I'm tired of comparing at the same time. Too.
yeah. It's even albums like
Yeah.
it's harder, yes.
So like, that's why I think they're good. So,
Are you gonna be, I can't, because I gotta do this today.
they're just a bit like,
Yeah.
Is that even
you know, like you're hearing.
That's what I'm figuring. And I didn't know it was y'all.
Oh, yes, I love that.
I have a thing for dates.
I'm not gonna stop by the history.
That's what I do every time I go to buy one.
Yeah.
Problem. So I just buy ones and I bring it back. And I put it in storage. Anything else with these?
So I think that's all right. That's all we need to know, right? You're gonna do what you say. On the areas now? You're gonna be you went to Sudan? Or not Sudan? You can get it.
I think
You guys are not swamp right now. Oh, shit. It's great because it's part of this whole process of like evolving my understanding of love. So I did this thing on YouTube because someone told me, fuck the narrative, just push it out. So I went through 20 years of poems and now it's like 5 at a time. Those love poems and recitation of them are the foundation for this process of evolving. So I'm going to do this once a month. Yeah. I'll give you some of my extra. But the cheap one, it's like, yes. That would be great. How do I do that? Oh, really? I agree. Tell me what kind of people you need from my side.
Just you. And then we can have like a little space.
Yeah.
You can even put it in. Clear out the I remember
I don't know how things are gonna be now but I fly out the 16th to New York, I come back 25th, so go back. Based on
So you could right here.
of course.
I think it will be fun. And like, I'm sure he is Tuesday. Yeah. I can't see one.
Yeah, it's a great process now. I'm just, I don't know, I'm just doing more and I'm like, enjoy it. I don't know, they
You
just.
know, we did this like joke show at Art Fair.
Oh.
It's because I was like, and like last time, that's not good, but like, we answered more. Like, it was, like, everyone was like starting to I'll show you, we're kind of video.
I saw first in action. It's awesome. It's amazing. He does everything in these seconds. Which is hard.
We're gonna.
Yeah, I'll see somebody pop in.
I know, it's not hard.
Very well.
Hi, I should know.
I'm super bad.
You still ready?
Yeah. Oh, you want to ease down?
I want to come to that one. Yes. Will you email me?
It's not bad for me. You might want to experience it. It's not crazy. Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah.
I don't know that.
Sinbad, dog. Sinbad.
Amen.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, I think you're not just one of those. No one remembers. I want to try it out. If I wanted to take this for 2 hours, I'm going to live this.
I mean, it's like all Walter, as long as you get around it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like.
Yeah, were they? My coworkers will always give me like candy, and that's really number one my favorite.
You like that?
I heard about that. Okay. I figured when I saw the
I don't like it.
I was on it for a while.
I don't even know if we were like promoting to this season. You know, yes. Now
I was like, I was texting in front of it. I was waiting.
I looked up and I was like, that's another place.
So,
Yeah, I know.
we went around until it was that's not why but when I get this,
Of course, so I am still like, I'm so sincere. I'm like, ask me one how I was doing bad. But I was glad to take a look. I would love to.
no, and now that I know it's just freaking here, I definitely love today.
It's in my apartment.
Yes. This is
No, I know. That's good. Oh, that's a regular I like rapping again because that's how we figured out. He's like, only one of us had to do it. I didn't know that's you. Yeah, I didn't exhibit. We never took that picture.
Yeah, you're from Montreal. Yeah, I do know you. But where? Why would I miss you?
That's right.
You know what? People are teaching me how to use computers now, so I guess it's fun. Should we stand into that? Oh, I mean, I think the bottom left.
Hey girl, hey girl, hey ladies, hey girl, hey ladies.
Hey,
I'm a baritone.
You're here. That's awesome.
Okay, 1, 2, 3.
All right, guys. Oh, they love you. Love you, man. Wow. Thanks, Eric. Oh, you're welcome.
Is this streaming right now?
I think it was, yeah. Yeah, now.
Yeah.
Hey, Jelaine.
Hey.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
This is the first one, yeah. This came at the very beginning. Yeah. She and Eric agreed on that today.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Oh my God, kids are all about it. Like, bro, put it down. It's not for something. I'm more of a like,
They're all in prices.
oh, thank you so much.
And